Okay, it's a new video. Hey everybody, just want to talk about perfect God. Okay, so we claim to serve the perfect God, right? God of perfection. Now, who can tell me who the perfect God is? Now, we would all say it is our God, you know, and those who are in error would say it's their God. But we know that there is only one true and living God, and since we know that, how do we know that? How do we know that there's one true and living God? Tell me, seriously, well, how do you know that? You know that because the true and living God says that. So some people think it gets dogmatic. Well, how can you say you know that there's only one God, and you know because he says that? Well then, blah 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 blah. It gets dogmatic, but it's really not. You see, the reason why we know that there is only one true and living God, and we know that there is only one God, is because the one God that has ever shown himself, consistently shown himself by a consistent name, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of creation, the God who speaks of things that are to come, the guy who spoke of the end at the beginning and reveals the things of the beginning at the end. That God, he has spoken. No other God has ever done that. Now, people claim that God has done these things, but those little aspects of God, even this God has foretold us about those things and warned us of those things. No other false deity has ever done what the real deity has done. The real deity has revealed himself in such a professional manner, in such a aligned, strategic way that we have no reason to confuse him with the many false apparitions, the many false deities, you know. So right there, immediately we get a line of division: the true God from the false God, false gods. And you know, where it gets more tricky, you know, well, what about all these different religions? Well, God never created any religion, so you don't have to find the right religion because God never created one. But you are living in the world of the living, right? This is a living world, right? Well, this is a kingdom. He didn't create some weird place where things are just running around. No. He created a kingdom of order. You know, there's laws. There's the law of gravity. There's the law of sin and death. There's all these different laws that create order. And within his kingdom, you know, there has been rebellion. Sin has caused rebellion, and he says he's going to put an end to that. Now, that is the perfect God. That is the story of the perfect God. That is the reason why we know he is the perfect God. He is the perfect God because he is the one who created this kingdom. He didn't create a religion like these other fake gods keep trying to push. Religion, religion, religion. No, it's no repeated legacy of man's traditions. It is rather the real life, the definition of real life, and the reason why real life is the way it is. And it's the way that real life can be connected back into the hands of authoritative figures, making life, you know, back right, you know, restoring life. And if that kind of went over your head, all I just said was it's restoring life back to the way it should be, rather than letting it be a fallen world. It's trying to put it back together piece by piece by piece. And the only people who can do that are God and people who act like God. And by acting like God is not saying like Satan, I want to be like God. Satan didn't want to be like God. That's not true. He was already like God. We're all like God. We're made in his likeness. We're made in his likeness. We are to be imitators of God. The word says that. We are to be like God. The thing is, we're not to make God like us. We don't make God like us. We don't say God's like me. No, God's not like you. You have issues. God doesn't. We want to be like him. He's not to be like us. And Satan thought in his heart that God was like him and would let him do what he wanted him to do. Let him do what he wanted to do, that is. And Satan wanted to be worshipped. He wanted to be God. He wanted to be who God is. That he wanted a job that was already taken. Okay? So, therefore, you know, that is, I hope that fixed that confusion for you. And basically, this kingdom, this fallen kingdom, for it to be restored, it has to, the only people who can do it is God and people who look like God, people who act like God. Because this world was meant to be created, it was created with wisdom, it's meant to be governed with those who can receive wisdom and understanding and operate in that. To discern what is good and what is evil is to, you have to have wisdom. Now you would say, well then, was it good to eat the fruit of good and evil? No, it wasn't good. But you see, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. So when you sin and you love the Lord, you learn something new. You learn something not to do. You see, he who sins much loves much. That doesn't mean, well, let us go do evil that good might come about. No, that's not what you do. But even when you mess up, good comes from that. God made a perfect world. See, that's what I'm getting at. God is perfect. But you don't go and sin. Bad things still happen from sin. Curses manifest, yada yada yada. So, doing good, discerning with wisdom, that is a godly trait. That is wisdom, and only the godly can do that. And this world was meant to be governed by the godly. When women come together, man, it's you know, a bunch of beautiful women together, that is such a godly picture. They're not supposed to be talking about all this vile stuff. Ooh, blah, 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 all this horrible stuff that women should never even speak on in front of each other and stuff. That's not what, that's ugly, it's horrid, it's hideous. It's not, there's nothing elegant about it, it's vile. And that's what happens when women come together today. When women come together in the kingdom, with the kingdom mindset, with the mind of the way the world should be. Not in religion, not, oh dear Lord, you don't have to fake this religion stuff. No, in real life, you come together. I am a woman, this is a world, yada yada yada, my desires. They come together and women do what women do. Man, that is a beautiful picture. Likewise with men, you gather a bunch of men in this fallen world, and it's horrible. It's worse than when there was just one man. You put all the sinful men, they feed off each other. Well, blankety blank blank, blank blank blank, blankety blank, blankety blank blank. Ha 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 ha. Man, did you see that? Blankety blank 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 blank, blankety blank. Cussing, like, you know, and it's just vile, it's evil, it's wicked. It's like a bunch of wild dogs biting each other. You know, just a bunch of dogs. It's wicked. That's what happens when you bring a lot of sinful men together. Evil happens. They might even come up with an evil idea, you know, get a bunch of, you know, fallen boys together, you know, teenage boys, and they'll start talking about the worst stuff, and they'll be like, yeah, let's go do it together, you know. And that's what God was stopping in the whole Babel story. When all these men came together with their wicked desires, man, it was like they could accomplish anything. It's like a big gang of bored kids on a Saturday night. You know, they say they want to go rob a bank. Man, there's 22 of them boys. Man, they probably go rob a bank. So, just like Babel, you know, they get a bunch of fallen people together, they can accomplish something. But see, it's a perversion of a perfect thing. The perfect thing is when godly men come together. When godly men come together, it's a beautiful thing. All these noble men come together, and they're feeding off each other. Iron sharpens iron, and they're like brotherly love, and yeah, and they can affirm each other. They can laugh, and you know, women don't have to walk past them and think, what are they laughing at? Are they saying vile stuff about me, or they're just trying to look at me? A woman doesn't have to think that. A woman can walk past those men, and boy, oh boy, it would just her heart would just tenderize, because those men would align in nobility, and they would treat her right, and they'd be, you know, a woman walks by and they'd be, oh hey, you know, they treat her so sweet because there's a woman in their presence, and they would be so respectful, and their eyes wouldn't be stripping them of their clothes while they're talking to them, nothing like that. And that's what it's supposed to be like. And when a guy walks among, you know, these beautiful women, he's supposed to feel like, man, it's like I just walked in heaven. You see, when a woman walks past those godly men, she feels like I just walked in heaven. And all these men together, speaking about good things, doing good things, they're all noble and you know. So there is a difference. Perfection does exist, good does exist, and evil, all evil wants to do is prove it wrong. Evil already chose the wrong choice. Evil is already the corrupt, it's already the bitter, it's already the sad, it's already the angry, it's already, I got a problem with you. Evil is already corrupted. Evil does not come on itself. You see, God, He is perfect. Remember, that's the theme, He is perfect. But God is the God of creation, He's the God of existence. Nothing exists apart from Him. So you don't even have your point of view apart from God creating existence. Hence, without Him there is nothing. There's not even nothing to be nothing.